Welcome into another edition of Trust the Process Live. Got James and ET in here today. Happy Father's Day, belated Father's Day to everyone. Hope they had a good Father's Day. But a lot happened this past week, guys. We have AD now is on the Lakers. The NBA draft is coming up in just a little bit. Free agency in the NBA starting up. We have a little bit of Phillies action to get into. But first and foremost, the Raptors are NBA champions. Let's go into fantasy land here.
Before we go too far, if I recall correctly, I told people that if Kevin Durant did not play, the Toronto Raptors would win the NBA championship in 6
the only one that was saying
games.
that.
And everybody told me I was stupid and I was doing drugs. And I said, okay, Kawhi Leonard is the second best player on earth.
All right.
Second best.
So here's another bit of conjecture here. If Kawhi's miracle shot did not go in against the Sixers,
We're going back to fantasy land.
would it be the 76ers holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy?
I don't understand. I guess it helps you guys sleep at night asking these like kind of fairy tale questions, these rhetorical questions. But then you also have to realize that if that shot doesn't go in, one, you don't win the game. You still go to overtime. You still have to probably try to beat the Raptors in Toronto, and then you have to go to the next round and try to have to play against a player who dominated you in the regular season. So no, I don't see any way that if Kawhi's shot doesn't go in then, that magically means the Sixers are beating then the Warriors in the championship.
Style makes fights. And before we go into the hypotheticals, I'm so sick of the title by proxy dynamic.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they lost to them, but they won, that means that technically they would have won too. Stop it. If somebody gave me the winning numbers to Powerball the day before Powerball came out, I'd win Powerball, right? You see how stupid that sounds? If you don't get out of here with that, listen, the bottom line is the Sixers didn't do what they had to do. And even if they do get past Milwaukee, Embiid was playing like garbage most of the series. He's not going to play much better in the series against Milwaukee when he's got to be spaced out. No, I don't want to hear it.
First off, he had the third best plus minus in the entire playoffs while playing 13 less games.
Let's stop that have to do with the cost of beans in Chinatown? All of that you just said meant that they lost to Toronto in the second round.
That Joel Embiid played bad. He was the third best player out there on the court.
In the games that mattered against Toronto, we're not talking about against the first round against the Nets that don't mean anything. Against Toronto in the second round, where they also lost the year before, how great did he look in those games that they lost?
But guess what?
And there is my point.
Even with that being said, he was still good. And can we agree on this?
How great did Ben Simmons look?
Can we agree on this?
That's my point. And that's how good did Ben Simmons look. And then now you have to go to the next round.
Because by the way, Kyle Lowry balled out against Milwaukee.
Who gave Toronto the toughest fight?
What do you mean who gave Toronto the toughest
fight? Who took Toronto to the most games?
It's not about the
most games. It was 76ers, okay? So let's just...
It's matchups.
So let's just think about that now. And Joel Embiid gets healthier. They go into the Bucks, who, when they're one game with Tobias Harris and with Jimmy Butler that we played them, they ran them out the building.
So now all of a sudden Joel Embiid just magically gets healthier.
Correct.
Now all of a sudden Tobias Harris finds himself when he was absent for 2 straight series. Now all of a sudden Ben Simmons can dominate a matchup against Giannis when he couldn't dominate a matchup against Kawhi. Now all of a sudden, all these things magically change just because a ball didn't bounce 4 times to go on the rim. Like that doesn't mean all these other things change.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, yeah, they would have won. They would have been the NBA champions.
That's what you did. You answered your question and said yes.
No. I said Joel Embiid was a good player, was better than people are giving credit for, and I said that they took them the 7 games, which no other team did. Those are both facts.
Let me play host real quick. Jake, answer that question. Do the 76ers
No, I just told you no, but that being said,
if they don't win the title, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And they weren't winning either way. Go ahead.
So, speaking of what happens after the NBA draft, after the NBA Finals is the NBA Draft, which is on Thursday. The Sixers
now shaking up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely shaking up. The Sixers have a bunch of picks. Can you see them moving up to take anyone? Is there anyone who they could circle?
I mean, you could see. I don't think it makes much sense right now to move up and try to go get someone. Keep the picks that you have, and try and find a sleeper late in that first round or in that second round where you have all those picks accumulated. I don't think it makes sense to go up and try to get somebody when you're a win now, right now team. Go get a good role player. Don't move up and try to get someone who's going to want to be a star.
Do exactly what Denver did. So Michael Porter Jr. was a highly touted player coming out. He was injured. Denver was a team that felt they could compete, and they did, respectfully so. They still took Michael Porter at the spot that they took him at and passed on other guys who could have played that season for them. Now Michael Porter comes back, and people have been screaming his praises in the offseason, how good he is, what a shooter and a player he's going to be. And if he's even an inkling as good as people project him to be, they now have a kid that will probably be the best player in that draft class. And they got him at a spot where it didn't even hurt their team.
Is there anyone that you could see sliding like that?
No,
Because he did slide
not right
big
now.
time.
Not slide that far down for the Sixers.
Not that far down, right.
There are players who are going to slide, but not that far. What you do is you go get somebody, you go get your Landry Shamet of this year, you go get your Fred Van Fleet of this year.
You got to build your bench out.
You got to go
get guys that
and
can
get
come
your
in and
bench out.
contribute.
Right. Okay. And so speaking, this isn't really bench, but in the starters for the Sixers, Jimmy Butler is obviously a huge key factor in.
Now he is.
Right.
He probably went up 3 levels on most teams' boards because of all the injuries. So
speaking of, he has reported interest in your LA Lakers. Do you think Jimmy is destined for the Lakers? I mean,
listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I heard today that there's rumors, wink, wink, that Kawhi might be interested in going to LA. Now, I don't believe it. I think if he goes to LA, it's the Clippers. Because he's already won a title on his own, he wouldn't want to go and play with LeBron. Like, that doesn't help his legacy, so to speak. That said, there's not a lot of cap room for them to make a lot of moves, so they'll have to make a trade in order to clear up some more space. Do I think the Lakers could pull off a trade and land one more big player, especially if they push this trade back to the 30th instead of the 6th when it's purported? Because there's a difference of almost $10 million in cap. I think if the Lakers are smart, they will. If you look at the other offers that have been on the table, and I didn't mean to hijack and make it a Lakers thing, but it's relevant. The Lakers made that deal that's supposed to go through on the 6th. That only frees up $23 million in cap. If they wait till the 30th, it frees up over $30 million in cap, which now allows them to add a max player and a whole bunch of one-year guys.
And AD voids that last $4 million of his contract too.
Frees up even more money.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things in play here, and the reason why that's relevant is that changes the landscape for everything else. AD was the first domino to fall because where he went, where he ended up, changes what the Lakers were going to do, which then changes what the Clippers are going to do. With Durant being hurt now, changes what Golden State's going to do, especially losing him and Clay. So now everything is kind of moved around. And like I said, guys like Jimmy Butler, who were kind of like that second tier, first, second option, now get bumped up significantly higher because teams got to get somebody. All these guys that freed up all this cap space need to find a guy that can come in and play. And the problem is, I don't think it's that he doesn't want to play in Philly. I think the Sixers don't want to commit to him for those extra years that he's going to ask for. And a team that's like, you know what, we can win the championship right now if we keep Jimmy. The Sixers have already seen the best of Jimmy Butler. And you know what? They got no further than they did the year before without him. So, while here, run it back, bring it back, blah, blah, blah. Ben Simmons still has to be able to shoot for them to get past the second round. I'm going to stand on that statement. If he can't shoot, you're playing 5-on-4 on offense, and that will forever kill them.
Let me bring it back to Jimmy Butler because you're very correct with pretty much everything you just said. Now, I do think the Sixers are more willing to move Ben Simmons' role off of being the point guard and more being maybe a point forward, less ball dominant, let Jimmy Butler handle the ball at the top a little bit more. Plus, if this Jimmy Butler already said the Sixers are a priority if the Sixers offer him that supermax. Right. And if the Sixers come back to Jimmy Butler and say, hey, we're going to offer you that supermax deal, I do see him coming back to the Sixers for the standpoint of, yes, they got to the same round they did the year before, but they didn't have a fully healthy Joel Embiid. There might be a little bit part of Jimmy Butler that says,
what if we have a bench?
Right. What if we have a full healthy Joel Embiid, we have a bench, and Ben Simmons comes back with a moved role and a little bit of a form.
So we let go of Tobias Harris? I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah, we like.
Okay, so you have to let him go because you can't get a bench without keeping him on the team.
Now you
let him go.
I think that all of this talk is pretty much saying we've pretty much let. If Tobias Harris was to come back for a pay cut, cool. But if he still wants that max
somebody's
deal,
going to jump out the window.
Exactly. The Nets are probably going to jump out the window for that. Let him go to the Nets and get Jimmy Butler because then you let Tobias Harris go to the Nets, and the Nets also want to bring in Kyrie Irving. Then one D'Angelo Russell is probably sitting out there. Maybe the Sixers can make a trade for him, but that's a whole other thing
here at all.
And not only that, what other option do the Sixers have? Because, like you said, Tobias Harris is probably going to get crazy money, and based off what we saw,
I don't think it's in the Sixers. The ball's not in the Sixers' court. The ball's in Jimmy Butler's court.
Yeah, of course, he's a free agent this year, but they offer him the most years, the most money. And to be honest, they probably offer him the best chance to the finals. The West with the Lakers and with the Warriors.
Nah, if he goes to the Lakers, they got the best chance to win.
He still got to get past the Warriors, and it's still a tough road.
The Warriors don't have Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson at all next year. Yeah. It's Steph Curry and Draymond Green. Listen.
They'll have Klay Thompson.
No, they will not. He tore his ACL.
Absolutely.
He will not. Listen. He'll come back when he's not going to be the same guy. It takes almost, and we've seen it even with football guys and basketball. They're guys that are not going to be the same player that they were, especially when you got a guy like Klay who depends so much on being able to use his feet. He's not just a stationary shooter. He does move without the ball to catch and shoot.
Plus on the defensive end, too.
The defensive end is going to matter. He needs a full year following that injury. He's not going to be the guy he needs to be next year.
And we have a question from social media. Sean, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so viewer Kevin Terrell writes in that he thinks Jimmy Butler's going to Houston. I know, JJ, you love this James plus Jimmy at the same time? What do you guys think?
I mean, it'll make Hart not have to play any more defense than he doesn't play, but here's the problem with that.
Jimmy Butler's not going to like the Houston Rockets style.
He's not going to like their offense. Their
How
offense
are they paying him?
Well, I mean,
You would have to get rid of Chris Paul, which I got news for you.
Nobody's taking that
Chris Paul's
stupid contract. And I heard that there's already internal friction with that. That's why they haven't re-signed D'Antoni yet, even though they were talking about it 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Because some people don't want him back. And listen, he's already shown you the best of what he can do. He showed it to you in Phoenix. He showed it to you in New York. He's shown it to you in Houston. He showed it to you in LA. He's not a championship coach. And they're about trying to win.
He's a coach who doesn't really like change it. Not to move the narrative off of Jimmy Butler, but he's a coach who doesn't change the system. He's
Doesn't adjust to the
same exact system in every game, in and out. And we're going to shoot the ball more than you and just hope that it goes in more. That's all it is. I don't see Jimmy Butler wanting to go to the Rockets, and I don't see like all the money that has to be moved around. That's just a sticky situation.
And you guys already kind of touched on it a little bit, but huge shifts in the NBA free agency landscape with the KD and Clay injuries, now AD being moved. What are some additional ways that kind of shakes up?
I mean, for KD in particular, I think it means that KD opts into his option with the Warriors, and I think that he stays there for multiple reasons. One, if he does want to come back, which he's probably not going to, if he does want to come back, he could play kind of the same role that DeMarcus Cousins played, where you could take a little bit of step back on the Warriors and still be on a championship contender team and not have to try to shoulder the load and carry somebody. Or he could opt in and not play and collect $31 million from his couch next season, which if you're off
He's going to be sitting on his couch either.
If you off an Achilles injury, I don't see, you're not going to rush and come back. We've already seen what happens when you do try to rush and come back. He's going to go and sit out and collect $31 million. Unless a team really does want to take a chance and sign Kevin Durant to a max when they're not going to get him for 1 year.
Here's the problem. Time waits for nobody. KD will be heading into his 31 season at that point. And he's coming off of a huge major injury that most guys in the NBA haven't came back and been at the same level or caliber from. That said, if you're going to a free agency, you were a team that was targeting KD, like the Clippers, like the Nets, and you say, okay, we're going to partner with the Knicks and partner him with Kyrie. Kyrie's already a guy who can't stay healthy. Now you're going to add a guy who's not healthy to a guy that already can't get healthy. Where does that do for the Knicks? Where does that do for the Nets? Because reportedly the Nets are looking at Kyrie, and maybe that makes sense if D'Angelo goes, but KD going to any of those teams, you're basically telling him, hey, for a year, we're going to be bad again because without him, we're not going to be the team we need to be. And now that makes him think, well, this free agent may say, I don't know if I want to go there. I may go somewhere else where at least I can contend the first year. Or maybe they do a 1 year opt-in short contract player option year 2. Everything changes with his injury because of the fact that he came back and fell on the sword. If I'm him, and I called it right after it happened, I opt into the $31 million, become the free agent next year, and make everybody and their sister want to come and pay for me. Because now teams know that he's going to be out there. There's nothing else stopping him. And by the way, Golden State will know exactly where they are at that point with Clay, Draymond, and everybody
Golden State don't know exactly where they are, and the free agent market's a little less next year. So he'll
not as many guys
where
out
he
there.
had to share the spotlight a little bit with some guys this year. He won't have to share with anybody
It'll be
next
his free
year.
agency.
And he'll come back for
his last massive contract.
As a counterpoint, though, the New York Knicks have based their they traded Porzingis with the idea that we're going to get a big free agent.
A healthy free agent,
yes. Regardless, they have to get Kyrie, who's not looking like
anybody remember the summer of 2010 where one Mr. LeBron James came out there and it was like 7 teams that literally cleared everything on their roster to go and get him. He was only going to one team. It didn't matter what the other 6 teams did. The one he wanted to go to was the only one that mattered.
What the Nets
and what I'm saying to you is, because the Knicks are still a dumpster fire. I like Fizdale. I think Knox is going to be a solid player. I like Mitchell Robinson. Dennis Smith Jr., if healthy, can be a player. But they're still 2 to 3 pieces away from being that team.
I mean, they wouldn't have been if they held on to Porzingis.
Porzingis got his own issues.
They're
but that's
still 2 to 3 pieces on the court away from. Being a championship organization means being a championship organization. If you're not well-rounded, you can fall right through the cracks.
You see that with Masai Ujiri over there in Toronto.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments. Share the show. Let us know where KD is going to land. And before we go to halftime, our social media question of the week. Kyle Lowry, he is an NBA champion. Good for him, Nova guy. And that brings us to the question, who is your favorite Philadelphia guard? From Philadelphia, guard of all time. I'm going to go with Aaron McKee. There's a lot of good ones out there. I don't know if you guys have a favorite.
I mean, favorite is debatable because it's all about preference. But if we want to go best, and we're not going to go exactly Philly because he didn't live in Philly, but on the outskirts of the city, one Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant, the only Hall of Famer in Philadelphia that ever played in Philadelphia as a guard.
That's true.
It's not really an argument per se to me because of how good he was, But
he's a Laker.
well, that too. But the fact that he's arguably top 2 at his position all time matters. You know.
Yeah, but
And
I mean, you guys, you have to claim Philly to be from Philly. Kobe doesn't. The only time I've seen Kobe claim Philly is when the Eagles were making a Super Bowl.
That's
run.
true.
That's all. I'm gonna go one. Catino Mobley had a nice little 10-year career, 20-4 type guy. Plus, he plays in the Big Three league now, headed by Ice Cube. No, it's kind of fun to watch.
The one with AI that didn't show up.
That didn't show up. Yeah, that hurt. That hurt. AI
Didn't show up to the Philly game.
Right. That's what I heard.
That's all that we have for the main event. So now here is a word from today's sponsor, Indigo Bikes. All right, so there it was from Indigo Bikes. You can find their bikes all around the city. They're the blue bikes. James and I actually were at lunch or brunch today and saw a bunch of them, and they're legit.
We weren't
all
at
around
brunch,
Philadelphia.
just us. We had a meeting with our podcast. Let me just clear that up real quick.
I mean, it's 2019, bro.
Listen.
However y'all live, man.
This is my man's right there. But I'm not. Look, you got to be
a business meeting.
Right. I'm sure that's. Hey,
go to the
All
second
right,
half,
so we're
please.
on to rapid fire now, talking about some Philadelphia Phillies baseball. The Phillies not looking too great, losing the series to the Atlanta Braves. Should the Phillies have spent the $13 million for Dallas Keuchel, which the Braves did?
Let me go. Did you see the pitching performance that our ace Aaron Nola rolled out last time? The pitching performance that our second best Jake Arrieta rolled out. Our best pitcher right now, most consistent, is like Nick Pivetta. So yes, the Phillies should have spent that $13 million on Dallas Keuchel to get a lefty in the rotation. And plus, didn't one Matt Klentak say they're going to spend stupid money this season? That categorizes as stupid. So yes, I'm going to go and get Dallas Keuchel.
It's the difference between spending stupid money and spending money stupidly.
Thank you.
So my argument to that is Dallas Keuchel is a guy on the decline who's not a high-velocity pitcher who struggles to throw a lot of strikes. In a hitter's park like CBP, he needs to be able to get the ball in spots where guys aren't going to hit. He's not a control pitcher. He's a volume pitcher, which basically makes him a slightly better version of Vinny Velasquez with a little more name carrying. So to me, I don't think that's where they should have spent the money. What's killing them is the fact that they don't have anybody to go to after the sixth inning. 6, 7, 8, and Hector Neris is at 9, solid most times. It was just shaky in the last one. But 6, 7, 8 are always up in the air, and that's where games are won and lost. Most games, even if your starter gives you a quality start, which is 5+ innings, 3 runs or less, once you get to 6, 7, and 8, and you got a bullpen that comes in there and gives up 3 runs, it doesn't matter because the offense, no matter how good it is, isn't going to be able to score 7 runs a game.
After the All-Star break into July and August, that bullpen will, knock on wood, get healthy again.
Right.
We'll get people back. That starting pitching does not change. So
That's fine.
That starting pitching is still going to be bad
How
going
many-
into late.
They win the
season.
series versus the Braves if the bullpen doesn't blow. We agree. We can't do anything about 15-1. They got smashed.
Okay, well,
but the game that they blew,
then that's a tie.
the game that they blew is because the bullpen blew it. Hector Neris came in and gave up the runs, but they gave up all those runs before he got there. Because they were up at one point like 7-2, and I turned the game off thinking it was over.
I can go back to 6, 7, 8 games where if they don't start and the starting pitcher doesn't get shelled by the third inning, then they win that game too.
I mean, who are we talking about? Vinny Velasquez
Yes.
and
Nick
Jared
Pivetta.
Eichhoff, who
Nick-
both stink?
Nick Pivetta had a
Pivetta's
couple-
been solid, though. He's had
Aaron
one or two bats.
Aaron Nola had a bad start to the season too.
Hasn't pitched like an ace. I don't disagree with you, but I don't think throwing money at Dallas Keuchel, who's not going to be able to do anything for another 3 weeks, and putting you way into July before he gives you anything, and you don't know.
All I'm
going to
say
is
is when the Phillies are seeing him 3 and 4 times in August when he's with the Braves, then we'll see then.
Give me Dallas.
And the Phillies,
Talk to him,
in their
Barry.
last 16 games, are 6 and 10. Begs a question: is Gabe Kapler going to be on the hot seat because he's made some wrong decisions?
I'm going to say no, not yet, and here's the reason why. He has yet to have a – listen, baseball's a lot like hockey, being hot at the right time with health. It doesn't matter all the talent in the world, if you're not healthy at the right time and your team is playing hot, you're not going to win. It's just the way it is. Yeah, it's a little different with some of the other sports, but those two, hockey and baseball, are predicated on guys being healthy and guys getting hot at the right time. It always comes down to that. And in baseball, it's either you're going to have dominant pitching or dominant hitting. The Phillies were pretty good hitting, and then they lost Kutch. Now, Jay Bruce has been fantastic. Like, talk about a diamond in the rough. But he's not a guy that they brought in for that, which means that they depleted more bench depth. So now they're trying to replace bench depth, which gives them more hitting. But again, this is a hot strikeout lineup. Outside of Cesar Hernandez, a lot of these guys strike out a whole hell of a lot, which means that you got to have dominant pitching for the games where your guys are going to go 0 for 4 with 3 Ks, Bryce Harper, and some of these other guys. And you have to have guys that can get contact, hits to the ball, and drive runs while your pitcher battles to try to keep the game close. What's killing them is not necessarily the starting pitching. Every starting pitching roster rotation in MLB is going to have guys get shelled. It happens. That's the nature of when you pitch 30 times a year. You're not going to be great all 30 unless you're, Clayton Kershaw 5 years ago. What I'm saying to you is the point is they have to be able, when their games are close, to be able to hold on to leads, and that's what they're struggling with.
Well, I'm going to go a little bit. Yes, he should be on the hot seat. He should at least have a little bit of urgency in him, a little bit of sense of urgency. The stuff that's outside of lineups, the gut moves that Gabe Kapler has to make have gone south for the most part. The stuff that he has to go in-game adjustments, not great at them. Shaking up the lineup doesn't always pan out the way he wants to. So the things that the manager has to do to try to rein in things when you have things like injuries, when you have things like slumping players, those are the moves that haven't panned out for Gabe Kapler.
I'm going to say yes and no only because of the fact that when he did the exact same things last year and the Phillies were in first place, nobody was watching the team because they had no name power outside of Rhys Hoskins, and people weren't sitting here calling for his head. They hated some of the moves he did, but they were winning, so they were excusing it. This year, there's pressure. There's expectation to win. The Phillies were in first place up until 3 days ago.
Right.
And now,
but now they're three back all of a sudden.
And now all of a sudden people are calling for his head. Gabe is going to be Gabe either way. I don't think bringing in any other manager would have changed the fact that $70 million of your bullpen is on the IL. It just doesn't change it. It's nothing you can do.
Speaking of expectation, one Mr. Bryce Harper had a ton of it coming in to this team. He's batting .247. As you guys said, a ton of strikeouts. Are you concerned with Bryce?
I'm not concerned. It's June. Baseball, hopefully it turns around. He's got more than half the season plus after the All-Star break. He's known to start very poorly and not start hot and then turn it on late in the season. So let's hope that he does. And we also got him for 13 years. So you're going to make the argument that he has to put it out all right now in the first year and put his first foot forward. It's a long-term thing for Bryce Harper.
You never know when you're going to have a chance to be great. And the problem is that Bryce Harper came to a town that has high expectations. He signing here meant that he accepted the mantle of being the face of the franchise and being the guy that was going to make this team relevant. If the Phillies missed the playoffs with a $330 million guy on their payroll, like they missed it without a $330 million guy on the payroll, the pressure is going to fall to Gabe first for not getting him there, but second going to fall to Bryce Harper, unless Bryce Harper's hitting 300 and knocking in 40 home runs, which he's not. Here's the problem with Bryce Harper. He has up years and then down years, and when he's down, he's all the way down. When he's up, he's all the way up. You look at his MVP year, you look at his non-MVP years, it's stark contrast, and he looks more like his non-MVP year than he does his MVP year. And I don't know if that's because he's stressing and he's pressing. He shouldn't, because he's getting pitches to hit, because they don't want to pitch around Rhys Hoskins and they don't want to pitch around JT Realmuto, who now all of a sudden is missing games or whatever. But the point I'm making is he has to come out and do what he needs to do, whether it's shorten his swing, and that's where hitting maybe talks him a little differently. I don't think taking him out of the lineup is the solution. I think that they just have to find a way to put him in a better position. Maybe drop him down in the order a little bit.
They did move him from the third spot.
And there it is.
So like that, hopefully maybe shaking it up a little bit helps. Plus in the beginning of the season, it's changed as of late, but in the beginning of the season, he was doing things that helped you out that weren't just
I saw him bunt, and somebody said, there's no way he should bunt. And then the next day, he bunted, and I sat there and said, oh, okay, so a $330 million guy isn't too big to bunt? It doesn't matter. It's about advancing the runs.
Exactly.
All right, and we have a question from social media. Sean, what do you have for us?
We just have a little bit of a fact check here, Jake. E.T. and JJ said that the only players ever from Philadelphia to go to the Hall of Fame were Earl Pearl Monroe and Kobe Bean Bryant. You also have Tom Gola.
Is he a guard, though?
He was a guard.
Yeah, Tom Gola was a guard. LaSalle grad. He averaged 50 points a game.
Philadelphia/San Francisco Warriors and the New York Knicks.
What were the years on that?
Your fact check.
The years?
Yeah, I did say that.
It's the early 60s. He was drafted in 55. He went out of the league
way before anybody watching this show was alive.
Right.
Yeah. Carry on.
All right, so obviously Bryce Harper, a little faltering right now, but a guy who is not is Scott Kingery, who has been on absolute fire recently.
Scotty too hot.
I mean, it's now apparent that he should be in the lineup. E.T., where should he play in the lineup?
So I said last year, give the kid a year, let him see how he adjusts to coming up to the major league. He was one of the first guys to ever sign a contract before he actually played in the majors, which was unheard of. There was pressure. I think he was pressing a little bit. Now he seems more settled into the role. The problem is they need an outfielder, but they can't play him in outfield because he's got an arm like Candyland, like my 11-year-old daughter. Like, I don't know what he's supposed to do out there other than throw it into a relay man to then get it into infield. The only place he can play is third base, but he's not the greatest fielder in the world. But at the same token, you got Poo-Poo Hakashu and Maikel Franco out there stinking it up. You got to put somebody over there. And my thing is, if I'm going to put somebody over there, let me put a guy that's at least giving me something at the plate if he's not going to give me the greatest defense.
To call someone Poo-Poo Hakashu.
Poo-Poo Hakashu.
Disrespectful as hell.
Hey.
And two, Maikel's defense isn't all that bad. His defense
is fine. His at plate is terrible.
Yeah, so I don't think you get anything of an upgrade by putting Scott Kingery over there at third base for his defense. And right now, the Phillies' their next best option in center field is playing tonight, Roman Quinn, who doesn't have any better of an arm. It doesn't have any better of a
Only
bat.
difference is that kid is lightning fast. And once he gets on base, can make things happen.
Right, but Scott Kingery also has speed, so we can't take that away from him. And we have speed elsewhere with Gene Segura and Cesar Hernandez. So I think right now Scott Kingery, your best option is putting him in center field, because if you don't, you're gonna have to deal with Roman Quinn in center field.
Ball matters though. He doesn't take the best path to the ball.
Well, that is all that we have for rapid fire. Now, guys, we're on to tap outs. ET, you want to start? You have anything?
So Father's Day was yesterday. It was a great time. I got to spend it with my daughters. It was absolutely fantastic. The one thing I got a little gripe, man. Listen,
with Father's Day?
Yeah, with Father's Day. So I'm glad that women on social media chose to take a year off from saying I'm the mother and the father, and there's no dad, all this nonsense. Like, because nobody does that on Mother's Day. No dads do that. I don't. But I'm angry at marketing and advertising. Here's why. Mother's Day comes along. You hear commercials 3 weeks before. I remember hearing them in April. Mother's Day is coming up. Get your mother something special. Buy her this, $250 piece of jewelry from K Jewelers. Men, Target has cargo shorts for $12. Are you kidding me? We can't get a nice gift? I don't want a fishing rod. I don't want tools. Can you get me something nice like a flat screen TV? You see what I'm saying? Maybe some speakers. I don't know, tip for my car, some tires. I don't want to hear stuff that I'm not going to wear like cargo shorts. Like, this is terrible. And I hate the fact that they put it all towards like these middle-aged grandpops who aren't going to actually get real gifts for Father's Day other than neckties and socks. That's my tap out.
There you go. James, I don't know if you can follow that up.
I don't even know if I can follow, because my tap out was also a Father's Day thing, and I didn't know you were going to take that route, because I was also going to take the same route as, look, this Father's Day, so my little brother plays on a rec league all-star team. My little brother plays on the Springford all-star team, and I played for the rival Phoenixville all-star team. Mm-hmm. So my dad pledges allegiance to Phoenixville. He doesn't like Springford, but it's where my brother plays. He wanted to be able to rep my little brother without repping Springford, so I got him a nice shirt that said All-Stars on it, and it said Zach's dad on the back. Nowhere did it say Springford, but it was a great gift. And I was going to go the same route ET was going to go, and I was going to say, like, when I work at Rally House, everybody comes in for Father's Day gifts and gets the same run-of-the-mill stuff. A spatula, a Phillies shirt, something that says Sixers dad on it. Like, the same thing that ET said, I reiterate. We go out of the box and do these great extravagant gifts for mom, and dad deserves it too, because dads are just as much a superhero as moms. So
facts.
I'm mad at you for taking the point out of my mouth, but I 100% agree with it. That's my top out.
On a quick side note, piggyback real quick. For those who watched The Shy, because that was kind of where I initially was going, but then that other thing hit me. There was a powerful moment in there that spoke a lot to relationships between fathers and sons and forgiveness. So to those who watch the show, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you've already seen the episode, there's a conversation between Ronnie, who's the drunk wino who killed somebody, and his dad, who he didn't know lived across the street his whole life till he moved away. And it was just a powerful conversation in a piece where there's a lot of fellas in this world who struggle with that relationship with their father as a result of him not being around or being absent or whatever the case may be, and kind of touched on some things that I know even me personally, as a person who grew up without my dad not really around, it kind of connected with me. So if you get a chance, check it out. The Shy, it was the season finale last night.
Yeah, well, I mean, makes what I was about to say kind of vain. Mission Barbecue slaps. I don't know if
they do. They do smack.
I've heard.
There's one on the boulevard.
Yeah, I heard it's great.
It's some good stuff. But thank you for tuning in to Trust the Process Live on My New Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly, baby.
Survivor on Hulu. Check it out. It's amazing.
I always hit the camera.
I never do.
I always hit it.
Your rhythm is terrible.
You see my complexion.
How, bitch?